Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna do this cute little guy. I'll show him like this. Hard to see. He's holding this little heart. And he's just a little elephant guy. The ears are done flat. So they're pretty super duper easy. So this is for Valentine's Day. Just a cute little gift for Valentine's Day. So let's jump right into this. You are going to need red, white, and gray. So you don't need much of, the white. There's very little white, so I just got a little ball going here. This gray is about 1/4 of a skein. I may or may not need more, but it's the sparkle. It's got the sparkle in it from Red Heart. You see some of it there. So that's just a 4-weight sparkle, and this is a Red Heart. It's just a normal red. Now I had used a normal gray for this one and then the sparkle red from Red Heart, but this one's going to be different looking. So I used a 4mm because we're doing this in typical amigurumi style for the most part, except for the ears. They're just built flat and sewn together. So we start with a magic ring. We're going to start with the end of the trunk and work down into the head and the body and that. So that's the way we're going. So you're going to start with a magic ring and 6 single crochets. And if you can't make a magic ring, oh, I got fuzzies on my ring. If you can't make a magic ring, it just chain 2 and then put everything into the first chain. It's the exact same thing as a magic ring. It's just a fake magic ring. I'm going to zoom in here. So just put 6 single crochets into the center. Or into your first chain if you're doing it that way. You're going to need a stitch marker because it's amigurumi. There's no slip stitching and there's no chaining. So for the next 4 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches, because this is a trunk. So it's going to start off pretty small and then we'll increase. So that's my 4 rows. We are stuffing this, and because this is so small, I would suggest stuffing it as you go. But we are going to start increasing, and we're going to start turning it at the same time. So the next few rows are going to be quite weird. We're going to use 2 different stitches, but if you've followed my channel at, any length of time, you know that that's how I make things turn. So you should have 6 stitches still. The next row, and I'm going to make this easy on you this time around, your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and then 3 half doubles. So I'm not going to use my stitch marker here, but I would suggest you do if you're a newbie. So 3 single crochets. This is my second one. I am holding this at such an angle, I keep getting stuck on my yarn. 3 single crochets and then 3 half doubles. The reason we use the 2 different stitches is because it's going to help it get all slanty so it turns. So your next round It's just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. So I'm making it nice and easy. I'm keeping it, for now, the same size. So 1 single crochet in each of those 6 stitches. And then your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and 3 half doubles. Now I'm extending mine a little bit just by pulling up a little bit, just so that my turn is a little more noticeable. So this next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. That's 1 single crochet, and then my increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. Should do this 3 times. And then we turn again. So now we have 9 stitches. Talking with stitch marker in my mouth again. So now we have 9 stitches. So now we're going to do 6 single crochets and 3 half doubles. Your marker is number 1. Oops. That's 6 single crochets and then 3 half doubles. This yarn is really pretty, but I get stuck on stuff a lot. So just keep stuffing it along the way. Little bits at a time. So you can see the turn that's starting to happen. I haven't even molded that yet. I just stuffed it. So your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's number 2. And then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Again, you'll do it 3 times. So now we have 12 stitches. So we're going to do 8 single crochets and 4 half doubles. That's number 1. That's 8 single crochets, and now I'm going to do 4 half doubles. Oops. And again, your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So this is what it should look like at this point. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, and then you're going to do 1 single crochet in each of those 15 stitches. So I'm going to put all of that up on my pause screen, and we're not, I think we're done the turning. Maybe we're done the turning part. So now we're just focused on the truck. So 3 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1, 2, and 3, and then your increase. So I'm going to put all that up on my pause screen, and I will see you on the other side. Your next round is going to be 4, I already did my 1 single crochet in each of the 15 stitches, so your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Ta-da! So far, that's the trunk, so that's where the heart's gonna go. So now we just gotta expand his head a little bit. So I'm gonna do some more weird stuff in this next round, because I'm still trying to kind of make it turn a little bit. I thought all the turning was done, but it is not. This next row, you're gonna do 4 half doubles, 9 singles, and 5 half doubles. So let's start with 4 half doubles. That's number 1 with our marker. That's my 4 half doubles. And again, I'm kind of pulling up on it. Now we're going to do 9 singles. That's my 9 singles, and now we're going to do 5 half doubles to the marker. Your next round is it's going to be all single crochets. It's going to be 5 single crochets and an increase. The reason I tried to do a row of single crochets in between is because it's a tighter stitch, so it actually helps with the turning. So 5 single crochets, increase, you're going to do it again 3 times. I'm going to stuff mine as I go still. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 24 stitches. So your next round is going to be 4 half doubles, 16 singles, and 4 half doubles. Oh, start with a half double with your marker. So 4 half doubles, 16 singles, 4 half doubles. That's my 4 half doubles. I'm going to do 16 singles. And 4 half doubles. Your next round is going to be 7 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 27 stitches. So your next round is going to be 5 single crochet or 5 half doubles. 5 half doubles, 17 single crochets, and 5 half doubles. That's my 5 half doubles. I'm going to do 17 single crochets. And I'm going to do 5 half doubles. So it's not super duper important that you stuff this guy. I'm just making sure I'm getting all my stuffing the way I want it at the back portion. So try not to overstuff, because you want to be able to bend and mold this to where you need him to be holding the heart up. Do you know what I mean? Itchy nose. Okie dokie. Next round is going to be 8 single crochets and an increase. And this brings you up to 30 stitches. So your next round is going to be 7 half doubles, 16 singles, and 7 half doubles. So pretty soon we're going to be, if you haven't figured out what I'm doing yet, I'm trying to not increase this part of the trunk, but I'm trying to increase his cheekies as an elephant's head. Do you know what I mean? So that's why we're doing funny stuff. So your next round is going to be 9 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 33 stitches. We're going to be putting eyes on soon, so get your safety eyes ready. So I think this is going to be our last weird increase, or 2 different stitches. We're going to start decreasing shortly. So I want you to do 8 half doubles, 17 singles, and 8 half doubles. And then we're going to put the eyes on. That's 8 half doubles, 17 singles. That's my 17th single, and then 8 half doubles. So we're gonna put some eyes on. I know I kind of keep going off camera. I'm really zoomed in, so it's kind of hard to stay on camera. So I've got my safety eyes ready. And I don't have, this thing of eyes didn't come with a size chart. So let's see if I can figure out the size of my eyes using this. This package comes with an eye chart. So they say that this is 10 millimeters. So I'm going to say that my eyes are 10 millimeters. Yeah. 10 millimeters for my eyes. And I'm just using like a light brown color, which isn't in this package. It came in the other package, but I'm actually gonna, I actually like this green. I think I'm gonna do green for the elephant's eyeballs. So we're gonna start counting from the top down, and it's between the 4th and 5th row. So you're just gonna have to line it up as to where the positioning is. So this is my 4th and 5th row. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'll put one there. We are putting little eyelids on too. And mine were 5 stitches apart actually, so I'm going to move him over. Mine were 5 stitches apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just make sure that it's in between. And I like mine, so I'm going to put my backs on. Now you can get these backs off once they're on. If you feel that you've screwed up, you just got to take a pair of scissors and cut this plastic. That's all you got to do. So they are removable. I know people seem to think that they're not, so. There, and then once his head is stuffed, that's what it'll look like. Right now it looks like they're really far apart, but when the stuffing goes on his head, it's going to make his head sit up like that. And then we're going to put the eyebrows on, so then they'll look closer. So I'm going to put some stuffing in mine, and then we'll just continue. Your next row, if you want to continue ahead of me, is just 1 single crochet in each of these 33 stitches. So your next round, we're going to start decreasing. Now, I'm going to tell you that before we get the ears on and before we get the, and not even camera. Before we get the ears on and before we get the hat on, your neck is going to seem really long. So don't judge a book by its cover until it's completely finished. I needed the extra room for the hat. Because even though it's a small enough hat, it fits perfectly between the ears, but I didn't have the room I needed for the rest of it, so that's why it seems a little long. After it's all complete, it's not really that noticeable. So your next round is going to be 9 single crochets and a decrease. This brings you down to 30 stitches. That's my 9 single crochets. This particular decrease that I'm going to do is an invisible decrease, but it's not done the same way as I normally do my invisible decreases. Because of the color, I really actually want it to be invisible. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab the front loop of this stitch, and then I'm going to grab the front loop of the next stitch, and then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through those two, and then I'm going to complete the stitch. So that's how I'm going to do my, it's how I've been doing my invisible decreases since, and you're not going to be able to see it, but it's not noticeable. Even anywhere on his bum where I decreased, it's not as noticeable. I mean, it's not noticeable at all. This color can show a lot of stuff like that, so that's why I chose to use. There's many different ways. I think there's 3 different ways to do an invisible decrease. I've already showed one on my channel. This is the second way. The other way is a waste of time, personally, but so that's my 9 single crochets. I'm going to show you that again, but I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. So I'm going to grab my first loop of just the front loop of the stitch and my next front loop of the stitch. So 2 stitches. I'm going to yarn over, pull through those, and then finish the stitch. That gives you the height you need for it not to look horrible, and you're using the front loop, so then you still got the back loops keeping up that space. Your next round is going to be 8 single crochets and a decrease, and then you're going to do 7 single crochets and a decrease. I'm going to put those plus the counts on my pause screen. Just trying to keep the video short. So this is what you should have. This is the 8 single crochet decrease, 7 single crochet decrease, and now we're gonna do some more weird stuff. So we're decrease, but I need to only decrease in a certain spot. So it's almost like the weird stuff that we did when we were increasing, or not increasing, doing the different like half double, singles, half doubles. Almost the same concept. So first I want you to do 7 single crochets. That's my 7 single crochets. Here I want you to decrease, and I want you to do 2 single crochet decrease 3 times. So that's 2 single crochet, and then your invisible decrease. That's once. That's twice. And now I want you to do 5 single crochets back to your marker. So we're going to do that again. A little bit differently, but you're still going to start off with 7 single crochets. That's 7 single crochets. So now I want you to do 1 single crochet decrease 3 times. That's 3 times, and then 5 single crochets back to your marker. So let's put some stuffing in this, and then we'll move on. Next 2 rows will be, I'll put my screen up, the next 2 rows will be 1 single crochet in each of, you should have 18 stitches. So I'll put my pause screen up and I will see you on the other side. So that is my 2 rows of 18 stitches. So we're going to start increasing. So where we decrease just at the top of the head. This is where we're going to increase because we need the bottom to be flat. So if your marker isn't directly at the back of your elephant, you're going to have to move it. It's not going to make any difference to how this looks at the end. If you move your marker, you're still going to have the same amount of stitches. But the increases, if following my numbers, the increases need to be on the top of the head. So if your marker isn't directly at the bottom of the elephant's head, you need to move it. So we are going to do 6 single crochets, and then we're going to do some increases. So that's number 1. That is 6 single crochets. So at the top of the head, our increases are going to be 1 single crochet increase. We're going to do that 5 times. So 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochets. That's 1 time. Two times. 3 times. 4 times. That's 5 times. And then the last 2 just get single crochets because we need the bottom of him to just be flat. There's no increasing on the bottom. That's why I say this has to be at the back, because the only increases need to be at, like, from here around. So actually kind of started from here and went around, but you get the idea. So for every increase that we do, just on the top, we're going to do a round of 1 single crochets in each stitch. That's what I'm going to put my pause screens up for, is the 1 single crochet. Probably not going to mention it. The screen will just pop up as soon as we're done our increase row, but I think it's more important to focus on the increase part since it is only in one spot. But all my counts will be on the screen. So your next round is going to start with 6 single crochets. That's my 6th stitch. So you're still kind of over here, still below the eye if you're lining it up. The next increase is going to be 2 single crochet increase 5 times. Two single crochet, and your increase is 2 single crochets in the same space. That's number 1. That's 5. And then you've got 2 single crochets left. And then a round of 1 single crochet in each of those 28 stitches. Your next round is going to start off with 6 single crochets. So as you can see, we're just increasing at the head for his great big bum. That's what we're doing, but not increasing this part. So that's why we're doing the weirdo stuff. And 1 single crochet in each of these 33 stitches. So your next round is going to be a little bit different. Excuse me. We're going to do 8 single crochets. And then we're going to do a 4 single crochet increase. And we're only going to do that 4 times. And then we're going to do 5 single crochets. Next round is 1 single crochet in each of those 37 stitches. So your next round, as you can see, it's remaining all flat underneath here, and we're my head's all turned, but my trunk's all screwed up, but we're increasing all up here, and this bottom part is staying flat so that he can lay. Now it looks funny right here because I haven't stuffed it yet, but his head is stuffed, but once I stuff that, that'll lay flat. So we're gonna do 3 rows of this crazy weird stuff, and then we're gonna kind of sort of get back to normal for 6 rows after that. So I'm going to put round 43, which is the one we're going to do right now. I'm going to do 43 with you, but then I'm going to put 44 and 45 on the screen. Since you kind of already know what we're doing, you kind of get it by now. So, and then I'll do the 6 rounds that you have to do of just 1 single crochet. That'll all be on the screen. That should make the video nice and short. You can just work away at your own pace. That's number 1. We're going to do 8 single crochets. Then you're going to do 5 single crochet increase 4 times. That's 5 single crochets and then your increase. So when you see this written, you're going to see it written in brackets, and that's going to be the special increase for around here, and then everything else. So that's 1 time. More times. So that should bring you right around just below the eye. And then you can do 5 single crochets to your marker. This gives you 41 stitches. So I'm going to put the next 2 rows up on my screen with the final count. And then my 6 rows that I want you to do after that. And I will see you on the other side. So that is what my 6 rows looks like. So it's not stuffed yet, but you get the idea. The bottom is flat, and then this is all increased up here. So far, this is what you should have. So, we're going to start decreasing. We're going to decrease it the same way that we basically increased. So first I want you to do 19 single crochets. So that's 19. And again, if you follow it along, I'm just below, if you follow this along, I am just below the eye. So we're going to do some decreases. I'm going to do 5 single crochet decrease 3 times. And that's 3 times. So again, if you follow this along, you're going to be just below the eye. So it has to be in this area. So if you have to move your marker, which you shouldn't have to at this point, I get moving it initially because I don't know where you put your eyes. So I just wanted to make sure. But at this point, I don't think you should have to move your marker. So you should have 9 single crochets back to your marker. And this, you should have 46 stitches after this. Oh, I got 10. I apparently have an extra stitch. Or maybe I wrote my numbers down wrong. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. No, it says 9. Should have 46 stitches. Anyway, I'll count my stitches, and this next row is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So I'll count mine now, but I'm not sure what I did wrong there. So, I actually have an extra stitch. I don't know how I did it. I actually have an extra stitch, not one less. I thought I had one less. I don't know what's going on. It does not matter. It's still going to look like an elephant. Either way, I'll give you the right numbers. Sometimes when I crochet for so many hours, I tend to stop paying attention. My mind wanders. Anyway. We're going to start with 19 single crochets again. Maybe I don't know. That's 19 single crochets, and I know what you're thinking. If you're making a video, you should probably be paying attention. You're absolutely right. I should be paying attention. But I don't know what happened. Okay. So I'm going to do a 4 single crochet decrease 3 times. That's 3 times. You ever have the smallest things can distract you? My cat eating, my cat using the litter. You know, I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm filming, shut up, you know, and I do something wrong. Yeah. That happens a lot. My brain. You should have 9 single crochets back to your marker. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I have 10. I don't know. I'm just going to do another decrease so my numbers are the same. Unless the numbers are supposed to be 10, but I don't think so. I think my numbers are right. So you should have 43 stitches. I want you to do 1 single crochet in each of those 43 stitches. Alright, so we're getting down to the wire. We're going to have to stuff this soon. This is going to be the last weirdo thing. But it's not going to be our last decrease. It's just going to be the last weirdo thing. So, again, 19 single crochets. So this decrease is going to be 3 single crochet decrease, and you're going to do it 3 times. So 9 single crochets back to your marker, or whatever numbers you got here. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. That's number 2. And then your decrease. And this is going to be all the way around the whole entire butt. So it has to be stuffed, so his bottom is flat, just like that, and then he's got a bulbous butt. So your next, well, last decrease, this is the last decrease, and then I just want you to do 1 single crochet after that. So your last decrease is going to be 1 single crochet. That's going to be hard to hold now. 1 single crochet decrease. This brings you down to 20 stitches, and then I just want you to do 1 single crochet in each of those 20 stitches, and then we're going to actually just cinch at that size. So that's my 1 single crochet, and then you go right into your decrease. So I'm done my 1 row. I still got to put a little bit of stuffing in it. My 1 round of 20 single crochets. So I am going to fasten off. So you just need a cinching tail, just enough to cinch, and make sure that his butt's filled up. There's a sentence I never thought I'd ever say. If you don't have enough in him, when you push on it, it won't bounce back. But if you have enough and you push down, it's going to bounce back. I want you to really make sure, though, that it's like maybe puffed up full, because the cinch will get all wrinkly if there's not enough. And you don't want waves in your butt. I mean, the only thing that's going on this butt is his tail. Let me show you. So you're going to see the cinch, because the only thing that goes on there is a bow and a tail. So that's probably good enough for me. If you want yours to be smaller, you can just do decreases around, or do another row of 1 single crochet decrease. No big deal. So for a cinch, you're going to use the front loops only. You're going to go in the first stitch. Let me get closer. You're going to go in the first stitch, and you're going to go out the next stitch. So it does that. And you can skip one if you want, or do every single one. It doesn't really matter. I'll just do every single one. So in and out. Oh, being on camera might help. In and out. All the way around. So the reason why we do just the front loops is because you don't want this to pull and make big holes. Especially after we just did all those invisible decreases. You certainly don't want holes all of a sudden. So when you just pull on the front loops, the back loops kind of fill in the spaces type deal. So then you just pull as tight as you can, and then I like to pop across to secure it. So I'm going to pop across, and then I'm going to go through the loop, making a knot. Wiggle that back and forth. That pulls that right closed. Well, not right closed. I'm going to pop across again in the other direction, and I'm going to go a little wider out, and I'm going to wiggle. So that's what it ends up looking like. Not too shabby for a bum. And then weave. Weaving is just going as close as you can to your lead. 3 different directions. Try to pop out between the stitches. It's kind of gives it a little bit of a better hold. There we go. So that's the body of your elephant. So let's make his feet next. So these are the feet. I got 3 because I'm going to do one with you. So I'm going to do one with you and then leave you to it. I'll put my pattern on the screen. I did not cinch these. I just sewed them on open, but you can do whatever you want. So this stitch that we're going to do as soon as it comes into focus, this specialty stitch is it's just a cluster stitch, but it's just done really small. Like I only go in and pull up a loop a couple of times, so I'll show you how to make the whole thing. I'm not going to leave you on your own. It's pretty quick. It's pretty quick workup. So let's get right into this. So I'm still using my 4mm. I use my 4mm for, I'm pretty sure, just about everything. So anyway, you're going to make a magic ring. Or you can do your chain 2 and then put everything into your first chain. Fake magic ring. So you're going to put 6 single crochets in here. So your first round is just going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. After your first stitch, that's where the marker goes. That's my 12th stitch. So I'm going to pull my center and I'm going to put a knot back here. Cut that off, just leaving a little nubby. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. And then the next row after that, we're going to start using our white. That's 1 single crochet. And then your next stitch gets 2 single crochets for the increase, all the way around. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. Okay, so this round we are going to be working in the back loops. For this, we're going to be adding in white for the toes. So first you're going to do 6 single crochets in the back loops only. You're going to do everything in the back loops. So these are your back loops. They're already standing up looking right at you, so you don't need to like turn anything over to try to find them. So that's number 1. This is my 6th one. I'm not going to finish it with my gray. I'm going to finish it with my white because my next stitch is going to be white. So what I'd like to do, just for security, I'm still keeping my gray, but I just want to tie those two in just one little, it's just for security. So with our white, I'm just going to pull down on everything, make sure everything's nice and snug. With your white, let's see if I can zoom in. I can't zoom in anymore. In your next back loop, you're going to yarn over, you're going to go in. I'm weaving in my gray at the back, but you don't have to if it's a struggle. You're going to pull up a loop and pull it up, like pull up. You're going to yarn over and do that again, pull up a loop. You should have 5 pieces of yarn on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all of those and secure it. Then you're going to drop your white, pick up your gray. You're going to do 1 single crochet. Then you're going to come down here into the back loop. You're going to pull up a loop. But you're going to finish it with your white because your next stitch is going to be the white. So you're only doing 1 gray in between. And then you do it again. Yarn over, go into the back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all of those loops and secure it. Drop your white, go to your gray, 1 single crochet. Back loop only, pull up a loop with your gray. You're going to finish that stitch with your white. And then you're going to do it for the last time. Yarn over, go into the back loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through all 3 and secure it. 1 single crochet at the top there with your gray, and then 7 single crochets in the back loop only with your gray. So I'm just going to weave in my white. So that's my 7th stitch. I'm going to cut my white off because that's all we need. So that's our toes. So you can turn this right side in. This next round we're going to do a 1 single crochet decrease. So I have to walk you through which stitches to use here because this middle guy is not a stitch. So I don't want you to use that. So we're working in the full stitch. That's my 1 single crochet, and then I do my decrease. Just using the front loops. One more time before we get to our color. So, now that we're at the white, man, I wish that wasn't blurry. We're going to do 1 single crochet on that white stitch. Skip this white stitch because that's just the stitch we secured it with, and go over here to this white. So your decrease is always going to be white and gray for your decrease all the way over. So this first white stitch is your 1 single crochet. Skip the one in the middle. Your white and your gray stitch is your decrease. Always skip the one in the middle because that's just where you secure it. That's not actually a stitch. So again, first white stitch, skip that one in the middle, and then gray and white and gray is your decrease. And then you can just continue your 1 single crochet decrease around to your marker. This leaves you with 14 stitches. So for the next 2 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in those 14 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that's my 2 rows. You can pop those out. When you put stuffing in it, those will pop out. So your next round, you're going to do 1 single crochet decrease. You're not going to be able to do it all the way around. You're going to get 4 in, and then you're going to have 2 single crochets left. So just do it until you can't do it anymore. You should have 10 stitches, and I just want you to do 1 single crochet in each of these 10 stitches. Then you can fasten off. And I'll put the pattern on my screen. You can make the rest of them. And I will see you on the other side. So I got my camera really high up so you can see the placement of the legs and how you're going to sew them on. I sewed mine on open. It's completely up to you what you want to do. I mean, you could actually get away with cinching all of these and then just going through and through. Then your legs are actually wobbly and not solid. It all depends on, you know, if this is going to a child or not, or if it's just going to be a figure that sits on a shelf, or, you know what I mean? It all depends. So, go ahead and sew all your stuff on. I'm not going to do it on camera because it's too time consuming and I don't sew well, so lessons from me would suck. And I will see you right back here. So this is my guy with his little feetsies sewn on. I think I actually did a better job sewing his feet on this way than I did my other guy, but I actually brought all 4 strands up into the middle, tied them all in a knot, and poked them down, so they're all attached on the inside too, so nothing should happen to them. The next big thing are the ears. So the ears are built in 2 panels, and so you have to make 4 of them, which is why I'm saying it's big. The ears aren't big to do. They work out pretty fast, but you got to make 4 of them because they're sewn together, like they're crocheted together. You could do some pink inside here if you wanted to. I just made mine gray. There's enough color on here that I didn't think that I really needed to do all that. So mine are just going to be gray. So I'm going to do one panel with you, and then you can do all the rest by yourself. So we're going to chain 4, built flat like I said. And then we're going to do 3 single crochets. So back up. I'm going to zoom back in. Oh, which way do I go? So we're going to do 3 single crochets. So that's all the stitches, working stitches you have, because the 4th one's still on your hook. So that's my 3. I know, it's so small. Chain 1 and turn your work. You're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 in each stitch, and then this last stitch you're going to do 2 single crochets into the same space. Chain 1, turn your work. The first stitch you're going to put 2 single crochets into. You're going to do 2 single crochets, so 1 in each stitch, and then the last one you're going to put 2 single crochets into. Chain 1, turn your work. Your next round you're going to put 2 single crochets into the first stitch. You're going to do 4 stitches across, and then 2 single crochets in the last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. Two stitches, 2 single crochets in the first stitch. You're going to do 6 stitches across, and then 2 single crochets in the last stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. You should have 10 stitches. I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 10 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. So now we're going to decrease. I'm just going to put it as a decrease on the screen, not an SC2 tog, but it's the exact same thing. You're going to decrease the first 2. You're going to do 6 single crochets. You have 2 stitches left. You're going to decrease the last 2. So now I want you to do 6 single crochets. You have 2 stitches left, and I want you to decrease the last 2. Chain 1, turn your work. I want you to decrease the first 2, and I want you to do 5 single crochets to the end. Chain 1, turn your work. Now I want you to do 4 single crochets. You got 2 stitches left, and I want you to decrease these last 2 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. That looks like a funny shape, but when you single crochet or slip stitch them together, they're going to take on the shape that you ultimately saw on the elephant. So this first one you can just fasten off. The second one you make for this one, I wouldn't fasten off, because then you can just do your slip stitch around or your single crochet around. So I'm going to make my second panel, and then I will meet you back here and show you what I'm talking about, and then I'll leave you to do your second ear. So go ahead and make your second panel, and I'll see you back here. So that took me about less than a minute. It's a pretty fast workup. So you just need to put the 2 back to back. I'm going to weave in my ends on the other one because it's just going to annoy me if I don't. So I've tucked all my ends away. So you can see how you've got this square piece here and this square piece here, this little jet out here and this little jet out here. So you just put them together. It doesn't matter if one is at the back or not, because actually I'm gonna pull that out. My weaving wasn't so polite, but that's the back of my work, and doesn't really matter if oops. So the front is going to be at the back of this, because I didn't make separate pieces. They're all the same. That's the back of my work. Is not much different from the front of my work. Excuse me. And that'll be the back of the elephant's ear. So no, I don't think anyone's going to judge you or anything. For whatever reason, I chained 1 here. I think I'm used to it. Okay, enough blabbering. So you're going to go into the stitch, as you're just sharing stitches, right? So I'm going to come down and go back through this stitch and then into this stitch. And then just do a single crochet. And then all you got to do is just follow your stitches. Now, the top is easy, but we got these sides that don't have, like that, just the raw edge. So you just got to make sure you're lined up, and you've got all the your turning over spots, like your where you chained 1 and turned. Just make sure those are lined up, and then just stick your hook in wherever you can stick your hook in. Try to keep them fairly close together. And again, this little jet out here, make sure that's just lined up. So you've got things you can line stuff up with. So once you come back around, you can just go into the top first stitch that you did, slip stitch, leave a sewing tail, so this gets sewn on with this round part to the outside. So this flat part find my elephant. So this flat part here is what gets sewn to the elephant, and this round part has to. So when you make your other one, it'll be on this side. You have to turn it around. So go ahead and make your next 2 panels. I'm going to sew my ears on. I didn't actually write where I sewed my ears on. Let me take a look on my other guy. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm about 4 rows back behind the eyeball, counting this one where the eyeball's at. Oh, can't even see me. Counting this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I put mine right about between the 4th and 5th row. And probably lined up with halfway through the eye. That's about as low as I did, because as he's laying here, I just made sure it touched the table. Anyway, so go ahead and make your other ear, and I will meet you right back here. So I got mine done. I just wanted to show you that it just gets sewn on there. So I just did a whip stitch here, and then at the back I did a mattress stitch, if that helps. And I mean, it just helps with the curve too, so it curves in. And then I'm just going to pop out the top here, and with both my pieces, I haven't sewn this guy on yet, but so after I sew him on, I'm going to pop out here and tie them together and poke it down. So that's the plan, Stan. This, I just went obviously through the double layer and popped out on the side that I needed to start sewing on. So that's all I did with that. So his little tail, he's so quick, and you're going to chain 10, fasten off. That's about it. That's his tail. That's 10. I'm going to fasten off with enough to kind of sew into his bum. So that's his little tail. So there's a few ways you can get the little frillies at the end. I didn't find that even pulling this apart was enough, because I felt like there should be more to it. But it's all up to you. You can just pull this apart and then just cut it off the size that you want it. I can't get it apart without it all getting all knotted up on me, so. I like to add extra pieces. So cut it off to whatever desired length. They just have a little short, hairy bunch of stuff. And to me, that's just not enough. So I just went through this last stitch somewhere, and I pulled through what I had cut off, and I pulled through. So I got a whole pile of hair now for the bottom of the tail, and then I just cut off what I needed to match the bottom length. And you can comb it and do whatever you want with it. It's just an elephant's tail. And then this part, I know I'm still zoomed out. I didn't think you needed that much detail. So just figure where you want his tail. I mean, his tails hang down actually quite low. And then I just went around a post with my thing, made a knot, tightened that knot, went around a post again, made a knot, tightened that knot, and then I just weaved. So once you pull, those knots that you made get sucked inside. So that's his nice, quick, easy peasy tail. And we'll put the bow on it after we make it, obviously. We're just trying to make these quick little thingies here. The mouth is fairly quick. So you're going to make a magic ring. Actually, everything's quick. The mouth, the eyebrows. So you're going to make a magic ring. I'll come in. You're going to put 6 single crochets in here. Stuck on something. That is 6 single crochets, and for the next 2 rows you're just going to do 6 single crochets. So I'm just counting to 12. This is my 12th stitch. I'm going to go on to the next one and fasten off. So you're going to need, obviously, a sewing tail. Just snip him off. Don't tuck him in because you kind of need to squish this down. So you don't want any filling or anything in here. So squish him down, and you can cinch and sew at the same time, or whip stitch and sew at the same time. You don't need to do anything weird. So somewhere under the trunk, he's going to go for a mouth. I'm going to say, I mean, it's completely up to you. But I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, the 4th row going toward the trunk. Like that looks okay to me. My life a little awkward. So I'm going to stick my little thingy in here. And I'm just going to whip stitch and sew at the same time. I mean, it's such a small thing. I don't think it really matters. So we'll do the eyebrows. I mean, most of you don't even need this shown to you because, or the lids, not the brow. The eyelids. Don't need that. I need a hook. So you're gonna chain 4 and you're gonna do 3 single crochets and you're gonna make 2 of those and that's it. You're gonna sew them above the eye. So chain 4 and do 3 single crochets. And fasten off. With the sewing tail. And then these get sewn on right over the eye, like that. So, this straggler and my lead, I like to just very politely, make a tight double knot. And I'm going to tuck this guy into his head. So just determine where you need your eyebrow to be. And then that just gets tucked away. And then I can sew with this. So go ahead, make your second one, sew it on, and I'll meet you right back here. Eyelids, I sewed on a little bit differently than my last one. Last one looks so sad, so I put more to the side. This guy here just looks like he's so sad. So again, I just brought all my 4 strands up to one hole, tied it, poked her down, so they're all tied together. So the only thing left really is the little bit of a white thing I do around here to make it look like the heart is sitting in something, the hat and the bow. And then we're going to be all done. So you're going to need to get your red. Because mostly everything is red and white at this point. We're going to make the bow for the tail. So first you want to chain 7 and then do 6 single crochets back up. So you're going to chain 1 and turn your work, and you're just going to do 6 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. So you're going to decrease the first 2. You're going to do 2 single crochets. And you're going to decrease the last 2. Chain 1, turn your work. My red does not want to pull out very good. So round 4, you're going to do 1 single crochet. You're going to decrease these 2 and do 1 single crochet. Chain 1, turn your work. The next 2 rows, you're just going to do 3 single crochets. That's all you have is 3 stitches, so you're just going to fill them. Oops. Chain 1, turn your work. Round 7, you're going to do 1 single crochet. This next stitch you're going to do 2 single crochets in the same space and 1 single crochet to finish the row. Chain 1, turn your work. Round 8, this first stitch you're going to put 2 single crochets in it. You're going to do 2 single crochets, and then the last stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. Chain 1, turn your work. Round 9 to 12, so the next 4 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. So once you got your 4 rows done, you're going to do a decrease these first 2 stitches. You're going to do 2 single crochets, and then you're going to decrease the last 2 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. Round 14, you're going to do 1 single crochet. You're going to decrease the next 2 and do 1 single crochet. Chain 1, turn your work. Rounds 15 to 16, you're going to do 3 single crochets in those 3 stitches you got for 2 rows. Round 17, you're going to do 1 single crochet. This next stitch, you're going to do 2 single crochets in the same space, and then last stitch is 1 single crochet. Chain 1, turn your work. Round 18, you're going to put 2 single crochets in this first stitch. You're going to do 2 single crochets. And in the last stitch, you're going to do 2 single crochets in that same space. Chain 1, turn your work. Rounds 19 to 20, you're just going to do 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch, which should be 6 of them, 6 stitches. And there is your bow. So fasten off with a sewing tail. Let's tuck in your little straggler guy over here. And then you just fold it in half like that. That's your little bow. So you got to sew along here. Sewing it to his butt doesn't take much. So all you got to do is just make sure it's even. Do a whip stitch. So that's all mine all sewn up, and I put a little bit of stuffing in. I didn't overdo the stuffing, as you probably see by the fast motion thing I just had up there. So the shape is already there. You don't need to put anything in the middle, but if you wanted to put a ribbon or something, I think that would look super duper cute. This thing has to be in the middle for sewing, so I would just pop over here. You don't need much for sewing at all. I just have this tiny table. I just have this tiny tail, not table. I don't know where that came from. I am going to make a knot because when I sew, I don't want it to keep pulling on the side of my heart or my bow. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm making. So I'm just going to make a knot just so it doesn't pull because I'm going to be pulling. And then you can put it anywhere you want. I'm just going to attach it like that. I'm going to go through the heart, or the bow. Oh my good lord, why do I keep thinking I'm making a heart? I'm going to go back down into his butt. So I'm going to go down the same hole and out. I want to do a small little wee knot here. Again, that's just going to keep everything in place. And then I'm going to weave. So when I pull through, this knot is going to get pulled down and you won't even see it. So easy peasy. And there we go. So let's move on to, we'll do the hat last. For this here, I wanted it to make it look like there was something there that the heart was sitting into. So I took some white and I made a slip knot. And all I did, let me get all my stuff all untangled. I single crocheted around the posts up here. So we did 6 single crochets around here, so I used about 5 of those posts or whatever. I just went around, I didn't really count. So you still got the tippy top of the nose right there. Just see that to sew into. So fasten off. I'm going to tie my straggler and my fasten off little guy together in a knot. It just pulls that down. You'll never see the knot. And now we just kind of weave and pop out and cut off. So when you pull down, it pulls everything down. It still looks like a rim that you would have, like as a holder. Might have pulled a little too tight. If you pull too tight, just take a needle or something and pop it out. So that's all I did for that, to make it look like he's got a little holder for the heart he's holding. So the heart. We're going to start with a magic ring. And you're going to do 6 single crochets. Oops. You're going to go 2 single crochets in each stitch for your round 2. I'm not using my stitch marker, but if you're going to, it goes in after the first stitch. I'm just going to count to 12. Your next 2 rounds are just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. So again, I'm not going to use my marker, I'm just going to count to 24. So when you're done your 2 rows, you can fasten off and make another one. This only needs a little sewing tail. The next one that you do, you're not going to fasten off of. I am going to take care of my thing in the middle. So these are the humps. We're making the humps because we're making a bubble heart. We're not just making a flat, silly heart. We're making a bubble heart. So with that comes, you know, the process of making 2 separate pieces and then crocheting them together. But beginners, if you're put off by this, just give her a whirl. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy peasy. So I just wanted to make sure that that was going to be snug because I don't want any part of my hump coming undone. So once you're done, don't fasten off. But I am going to take care of this little guy at the back. So, what I like to do, just so I know where I am, and hopefully everybody follows along so our numbers are right. Sometimes your numbers are going to be different if you sew this together differently. I like to just go, this is where my my next stitch is going to be with my marker. So I like to go into the next stitch to do my sewing. I like to leave a marker stitch. So just using just these 2 stitches, sew your heart together, make a knot. When you cut off your yarn, always leave a nubby. You don't want that knot to come. I mean, it's all going to be crocheted together, but just in case you end up with a gap. So we can put that in. That's stitch number 1. And that's how I like to sew all my stuff together. That way all of our numbers are correct and right. So that's number 1. You're going to pop over here to the next available stitch. And make that fairly tight. Oh, I missed a stitch. See, when you miss a stitch, you end up with a hole. Sometimes you got to really... Oh, there's a stitch right in there. So pop over and make sure you get the right stitch. That way there's no hole. You're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. Originally I wrote down 20, so we'll see. That's my second one. Well, I had 21 this time. I swear to God it changes every single time, but no big deal. We'll just work with it. So that's just 1 single crochet in each stitch. Your next round is going to be, well, your next 2 rounds are going to be identical. We're going to do 1 single crochet decrease, and we're going to do that for the next 2 rows. So number 1 is always the marker, 1 single crochet, and then you kind of got to spread it apart because I put this little stitch in here, which is probably why I ended up with 21. I may not have done that with my last one. Decrease. Mine's probably not going to work. If you have extra stitches left over or not enough, just put single crochets in it. It's not that big of a deal. But for the next 2 rows, this is what you're going to do, the exact same thing. So this is what you should have at this point, this little tiny thing you got to try to get stuffing into now. So, this will be your last chance. Well, not really. The next round we're doing is 1 single crochet in each stitch. So, but then after we decrease after that, it's going to get really, really small. So just make sure you stuff your bumps the same. Make sure they're the same size. Well, that said, I had 9. I don't know if I counted my marker though. Your next round's gonna be 1 single crochet decrease, and then your next round after that is just 1 single crochet. So again, I'm just gonna put a little bit of stuffing in there. So you can fasten off. This is it for the heart. You're going to need a long sewing tail, like a long, because we're going to wrap it around the trunk too after we sew it. And you want to cinch, but I need to put more stuffing in mine. So I'm just going to go in the front loop, out the front loop, cinch this end up, in the front loop, out the front loop. That's about all the stitches I have. So pull down, and that'll give you a nice point on the end of that little heart. We're going to want to secure the end of this, so make your knot, go through your loopy loop. Make your knot, don't need to be that anal about it. So then we take our little heart and we go straight down his trunk and pop out somewhere. It's tight in there. Like that. So this is a little tricky. So I gotta go back up the same hole because I'm working with red here. And I'm going to go into the heart. Pop out. So go to the next stitch over or the next space over. Don't go down through the same hole again. Go down through another one and pop out. And back up through the hole, same hole this way, but go into a different part of the heart. So you get the idea. I'm quite sure you can all probably sew better than me. My 10-year-old granddaughter can sew better than me, I imagine. Oh, I hate when your little polyfill gets all over everything. So I'm going to go down into the next space. So you do kind of twist your trunk around trying to get this right, but everything goes back into shape. Mine's a little wobbly now because I've played with it so many times, but just grabbing. That's what I grab when I grab my elephant. I grab my I grab the nose with the heart on it. So mine's worn down, all the stuffing's moved around, and so once you're satisfied and you think it's on there good enough, I think mine is. It's pretty tight in there. I can't even get my needle down. There we go. Oh. This is pull everything nice and snug, and I'm just going to move up to the top here. So I'm just moving I want to make this look like it's coming from the heart when I wrap it, and then I literally just wrap it. Once you're satisfied with the job, you can just come back up through the heart. And that's where I weaved, was into the heart. It's got a long way to go if it wants to come undone. Hopefully I was on camera for all of that. And that is the heart. So now all we have left is the little hat. So because we crocheted the bend in here, it should always just bend up like that. It should never not bend up like that. And mine still does on this guy, but he's kind of floppy because, like I say, I keep grabbing him right there. So my stuffing's moved around. So on to making the hat. You need red and white because we're going to do a little bit of a brim. Not a brim. We're doing some white around here. I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. I just thought it was a nice feature. There's not a whole lot of white on him, so I just kind of wanted to bring some more white into it. So you're going to make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. You're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around for a total of 12 stitches. So after your first stitch, that's where your marker goes, and then you can put your second stitch in the same place. I'm just going to count. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. So bring it up to 18 stitches. So you could count or you can use your marker. Makes no difference. That's my 1 single crochet, and then my next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So for the next round, you're just going to do back loops only. So again, these are your back loops. You don't need to turn anything over. They're right there. So in the back loops only. So this is going to turn the hat from the top of the hat to the actual hat part. Separates it. You're just going to do 1 single crochet in each of those back loops for 18 stitches. So it puts this ridge around, and it also turns it from a flat to the hat part. For the next 3 rows, I want you to just put 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches, the full stitch, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. This part's supposed to be flat, and then we did the back loops to make this part of the hat. So we're doing a top hat, right? So we're going to decrease, and then we're going to switch to white. So we're going to do 1 single crochet, decrease. This brings you down to 12 stitches. And then we're going to switch to white for the next row. So however you need to set up for that. I do mine, I think, like everybody else. That's my 1 single crochet. And then your decrease. Repeat. If you're not comfortable doing the invisible decrease, you don't need to do. You just do a regular decrease, which is just going into the whole stitch. Doing the same thing, just going into the whole stitch. So I'm switching to white. So when I pull through here, it's going to be with white. I'm going to finish this stitch with white, even though it's a decrease. I'm going back to red, so I'm just going to tie 1 little knot. Stick everything down in there. So by finishing this last stitch, I'm already with white. There shouldn't be too big of an issue with the color change. I'm using white, not red. The red we're coming back to, so I'm not cutting it off or anything. It is going to get in my way though. Man, oh man. There we go. So, I'm doing just one round, so I'm not weaving in the red. It's just going to hang there till when I come back. So you're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. I am coming back to red, so I'm going to finish this last stitch with the red. So, as far as my white goes, I'm just going to cut it off. You're going to work in the front loops. We're going to build the rim. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch, because that we need to do the brim of the hat. And you're going to do it in the front loops only. So that's my first stitch. And I put my second stitch in there. Don't worry about it stretching out this white. The next stitch will bring it back into shape. So it's going to get pretty squishy. So I'm going to put some stuffing in my hat. Your next round, you have 24 stitches now, because we had 12. We had decreased to 12 stitches. So your next round, you don't need a whole lot of stuffing. It's just enough to keep the hat up. And make sure your top stays flat. So you got 24 stitches. Just going to do 1 single crochet in each of the 24 stitches, and then we're going to do a special stitch, which is a pretty super dual. It's pretty super cool stitch, and it's going to give you that look around the brim of the hat. But for now, 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. So that's my 24 stitches. So your last round, you can leave your hat like this if you want, or you can do the specialty stitch with me. Your last round is going to be a twisted single crochet in each stitch. I absolutely love this stitch. It's a lot easier than working backwards. It's a lot easier than the crab stitch. It's so... And I honestly think it gives a better look. So you're going to go into your stitch and pull up a loop. Then you're going to really pull it up. And you're going to turn your hook, and then you're going to pull through to finish it. That's a twisted single crochet. You don't really need a stitch marker. You're going to know when you come back around. So do an extended single crochet. Just so everything's not so tight. You're still going to find it probably tight. And then you pull through. If you feel it's too crowded, feel free to skip a stitch. No one's even going to notice. I didn't. I went into every single stitch. So pull up really high, twist, yarn over, pull through. Keep everything all loosey-goosey. And when you're pulling up in the stitch, it's tightening the stitch from before. It tightens it a little bit. So it's such a unique look. I absolutely love it for finishing off things. I'm probably going to use it a lot. It's super easy. It has such a fantastic look to it, and it's not hard. All you're doing is turning your crochet hook. So once you come back around to where you started, it doesn't really look like you got much to slip stitch into. I would just stick it wherever you can stick it to slip stitch, because there's technically no stitch there. You twisted the stitch, so you need a sewing tail. And that's the twisted. It all depends on the different types of yarns too. They look different. Bulky yarn, it looked fantastic on my owl. I did the wings on my owl with this same stitch, and this yarn even looks better than, I think, the sparkle yarn. It's a different size too, but I think it all depends on the side of the yarn. And so this is it. This is the last thing we have to do. It's just sew on our hat. And there we go. We are all done. All done our little elephant. Let me zoom out. There we go. Just in time for Valentine's Day. So, thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you liked him. Let me know in the comments what you thought.